Hey guys, Problem1701 here, and today we are continuing our look at the Jon Pertwee Dalek stories, and basically kind of ranking them worst to best. The first video, we talked about my least favorite of his three Dalek stories, Planet of the Daleks. Today we're going to look at Death to the Daleks, which is usually the one considered the weakest of the three, but I actually like it a little better than Planet. Death to the Daleks is a nice story. It's the Third Doctor and Sarah Jane, they experience a power drain in the TARDIS, end up crash landing basically on a planet, and the Doctor having to figure out what's causing the power drain and stop it. I like this story in some ways and dislike it in others. Excuse me. The Dalek design I like in this one, the silver and black Daleks. I kind of wish I could see them like a modern take on them. I do actually like that color scheme here. The Dalek voices, as much as I like Michael Wisher as Davros, I don't like his Dalek voices in the story. They're better than Day of the Daleks' original voices, for sure. But they seem a little panicky here. Especially in certain scenes, like when they first arrive on the planet and they want to kill the humans they run into with the Doctor. They're like, ready, fire, 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 ready, fire, fire. I'm like, they don't sound like Daleks. They sound panicked and scared. Stay away, stay away. I'm like, so the Dalek voices aren't as good here as a lot of them we would get even in Classic Who. But they're not the worst either. Like I said, they're better than Day of the Daleks' original voices. But I did notice the Dalek voices distracted from me. I like the fact that the Daleks' guns don't work at the beginning, and they have to kind of form an uneasy alliance with the humans. I love the alternate fire method they come up with, that little alternate projectile gun they come up with later. It's one of my favorite parts of the story. Is I love the design of it. I love the ingenuity behind it, the fact they went old school with projectile weapons. I like the sound effect for it. I absolutely adore the little TARDIS model that they practice on to test the weapon and make sure it works. They have a little model TARDIS on their ship to test it on. Alright, the new gun's ready. We need something to test it on. And let's use Frank's model of the TARDIS. Frank's gonna be mad. He loves that thing. Yeah, there's a Dalek named Frank on this ship in my head. And he loves the Doctor for some reason. He's a really weird Dalek. He likes the Doctor, so he builds little model TARDISes. The other Daleks hate it, but they can't just exterminate him, because he's like the nephew of the Supreme Dalek. So they just kind of have to deal with it and put up with it as much as it annoys them. And that's the reason why you don't see him in the stories, because once they found out the Dalek was there, they made him stay on board the ship. I want to go see the Doctor. No, Frank, go back to your room. Go. Stay in the room, Frank. Hey, isn't Frank going to be mad we blew up one of his models? I don't care. Frank's going to be, what happened to my model? They're going to be like, you don't know, Frank. It was like this when I got here. That's a new thing for me, Frank the Dalek. He's a big Doctor fan. Anyway, I just think it was cute they had a little model TARDIS to practice on. But yeah, it's pretty clever to go old school, instead of having their laser just have a nice projectile gun. And I love the way it looked on it. I'd love to see that come back sometime. I love the banter between the Third Doctor and Sarah in this. You can tell they're really close. Because, most of the time we think of Sarah, we tend to think of the Fourth Doctor, because they have a really great relationship as well. But the Third Doctor and her got along really well, too. There's really good chemistry between John and Liz. And there's really good chemistry because of that between the Third Doctor and Liz, or Sarah. So I love the little banter when they're in the cave. I think it's the wind, and then later she's like, there's your wind again. When they hear that noise in the cave, that's really nice. I love their little cave banter. I love the scene when he's explaining the Daleks to her, because this is actually Sarah's first encounter with the Daleks. This is the first time she sees them and experiences them, so he kind of gives that nice explanation about what they are. I absolutely love the scene when he finds her about to be sacrificed. He's like, what are y'all doing to her? And they're like, she shall be our sacrifice. And John is immediately just like, hey! Knocks down the people who were holding him and just charges all of them like a whole little crowd of them. He just dives into them, basically runs right into them, taking them all on. I love that. I love my little James Bond Doctor. As soon as he heard she was in danger, he just, boom, jumps right in after them. And just takes them all on. Loses, but takes them all on. Doesn't even hesitate. I love that. I like the little Dalek ship. It's nice. Naturally, it doesn't look as good as the modern design, but it's a nice little ship. I I like a lot of the human colonists here. I like the one guy who ends up in command who probably shouldn't be in command, the kind of strategist or weapons specialist or security specialist, I forget his name. He's a little sleazy, but he means well. Like when the captain, right before the captain dies, tries to put somebody else besides him in charge, he's like, I'm sorry, Captain, I didn't quite hear that, as he closes his eyes. I didn't hear that last part. But he does the right thing at the end. So the human cast is pretty good in this. I like them. The alien costume design, I don't really care for. I mean, it doesn't necessarily look bad, just for some reason I don't like it. I also don't understand why one group of the aliens wears clothes, the other one doesn't. That just seems kind of weird to me. The first part of the story does kind of drag a bit. I actually wrote down when I was taking notes, episode 1 drags a bit. It does. It kind of takes a little while to get going. I really like once the Doctor gets in the city. Although I do find that first test kind of easy. The one where you see all these skeletons because people, once they got inside, couldn't solve the next test. And there's just a maze. I'm pretty sure if you give me 10 years, I can find my way through a little finger maze on a wall. I could understand not getting it right. Unless it's one of those, if you get it wrong once, the door refuses to open no matter what. I don't know. It just seemed like I'd have gotten through there eventually. Oh, there's a wall, little backtrack. Yeah, it wouldn't take me 20 years to figure that thing out. And then there's the test with the little different colored, almost checkered like floor. I don't see how that's supposed to be a test of intelligence because the Doctor has to use his sonic screwdriver to get through it. What would he have done if he hadn't had the screwdriver? What if the 6th Doctor had been here? He'd been like, I better use my sonic... Ooh. Right. Okay, we're just going to try to jump over it really fast. So it's not really a test of intelligence if he's having to use his sonic screwdriver to tell him where to go. I do love the fact that the Dalek can get through that part because it can't, jump across because it's not humanoid. It just rolls across it and then blows it up, which is hilarious. And then I do like when they open the scene to the final room and you see that figure that's been kind of watching him on the camera, realizing that figure's been dead a long time, and as soon as that fresh air hits it, it just kind of disintegrates. That was pretty tight. I actually liked that. The antibody designs I liked because they actually look like the aliens on the planet, since the ancestors of the aliens on the planet built the city. That makes a lot of sense. The way the Doctor kind of overloads the city with a couple circuit boards doesn't really work for me. It seems a little too easy. He just kind of, and we're good. And this whole city that's supposed to be one of the 700 wonders of the universe is destroyed that easy. Although I do love the scene of it disintegrating. I mean, you can tell it's styrofoam. You really can. But it looks nice. It's good for classic Who. Jon is great in this. Elizabeth's great in this. Like I said, the Daleks are kind of hit or miss. I like and hate the Daleks in this. I should say like and dislike. It's not quite as good as I remembered it. It's one of those stories that I'd watched it a couple times before, not just once, but at least twice before. And I always seem to remember the good parts and forget the bad parts. I just rewatched this story. I actually rewatched this story for doing this because I hadn't watched it in a while. And it's one of those I tended to remember the good parts and forget about the parts I didn't like. But I still think it's better than Planet of the Daleks, personally. And I love the Doctor's line at the end when the city's destroyed. He's like, the universe is down to just 699 wonders. A nice little musing. So Death to the Daleks, I think, is a little better than the credit it's given. Or at least how it seems to be in general perceived. I think it's a little bit better. It has a lot of nice ideas. Like I said, I love the fact that it does. I like the stories that don't seem to forget the Daleks are geniuses, that they're very, very intelligent. And I like the fact that they come up with the alternate fire method very quickly. It's a good story. Check it out, Death to the Daleks. So that's we're 2/3 of the way through. Come back tomorrow where we will talk about my favorite Jon Pertwee story and why it's my favorite and why the special edition makes it so much better. Anyway, there's a lot of things to do. Click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications. Check out my Patreon page. A link to that will be in the description below if you want to contribute to that to kind of help me offset the cost of some of the Doctor Who stuff I have to get because I import a lot of Doctor Who stuff from the UK. I live in the States. Most importantly, though, stay safe out there. Thank you for watching.